what degree you're in.
Okay. My name is Aiden Grindle. I come from Edmonton, Kentucky in Metcalfe County. I'm a music ed major, and I'm a junior here on the Hill.
Awesome. How long have you been working on Creston?
Since about the beginning of the semester, so let's say, what, January?
Okay.
So,
And you're playing the first
and
upcoming.
second.
In terms of jury, are you playing both on the jury?
Yes.
Awesome. So you must have a very good pianist.
Yes.
Right now, we're
Yeah.
lucky.
This one's horribly hard for the pianist, so just give them a lot of grace and be very, very thankful that they even want to play for us. Not easy to do. Okay, whenever you are ready.
I guess you want me to just perform the first page, is that okay?
Why don't you tell Dr. Mccord what you would like to play? Maybe say the first page, first 2 pages, or first page and maybe some of the second movement.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can just kind of work in on the first page and maybe maybe I can take what you had to say and apply that.
Sure. Maybe if you're okay with it,
Yeah.
just as it seems like we might have a little bit of time, I would be curious about the first 2 pages, if you're
Okay.
comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we find when we get to those rests, we want to start talking, I might just jump in.
Hmm?
Okay. Yeah, good. Let's just team pause right there. Really great job. Do you have to do a recital as part of your degree, or are you planning on doing a recital?
No, I don't think for this one. No.
Okay. I would encourage that you might want to. Now, juries, are they in here? Are they in a classroom?
In a choral rehearsal hall with similar acoustic.
Okay. And granted, it's a smaller iPad, so we kind of have to see it, right? And if I can ask, are there any kind of vision needs to have the stand so high?
No.
Okay. So I studied with Otis Murphy, and he's not the tallest man out there,
Okay.
right? But he was always encouraging us to have the stand height be low and in front of us, right? There's a difference in our appearance, right? Playing this way. Right? Versus this way.
Right, yeah.
Right? This looks more like I have to have these notes in front of me or else I can't play the piece, right? This one looks very, I know this piece, right? And you know this piece, you just played that great, right? So get used to a lower stand height. Now that's as low as it gets.
Right.
I had a TA when I was in undergrad who was 6'8", and he would put the stand at its highest height on top of a chair to have the music right at it, right? And maybe I get that, maybe his posture didn't get compromised by looking down, but again, it doesn't look the part, right? You're playing this strength of a piece, right, with vigor, right? And having that stand blocking us seeing you takes away from your message. Okay. So that was just the first comment on it. Masterclass or the clinic earlier today talked about not guesstimating when to leave ties, right? Can you recall what we talked about in terms of the?
I came in a little bit late.
A little bit late. Okay, so we're talking about with the Iber.
Okay.
Right, filling in any of the long notes with the subdivisions.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you try that with this? At least, let's say, how about just the first part?
Okay.
Let's try again. 1, 2, yeah, it's a little unstable. Is the tempo a little brisk? Or
Maybe I could bring it out.
okay, and just make sure we're not over articulating. It's 1 E, and 2 E, and 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1. There's a little bit, now it takes getting used to that articulation through that, but That helps us feel it too, right? I was saying with the Iber, first page oftentimes is a military band audition, just play that, and then maybe some marches and what have you. Creston can also be very often either the first movement, first page, the first movement, or the second movement up to those rests. Okay? And they're really listening for rhythmic integrity. Okay? So just check that in just a few places, right? Dee bum 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 bum. That could be risky to articulate up here, as you know, but dee bum ba 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 da 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 dee da 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 da. You would know exactly when to leave that.
Sure.
That time. Okay? One thing just to check, just note-wise, da 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 da, 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 4 da, right? Every once in a while, I think probably with beat 3 in measure 9, instead of the C natural, we might want to go D flat.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? So just check that. Would you mind going from, let's think breathing. Where's your last breath? B, bum, ba, somewhere in here. Is that horrible to ask you to start right there?
No, absolutely not.
So in terms of like phrasing and breathing, find where your last breath was, and let's keep going.
You want me to start this bottom?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Okay. I think what I heard the first time when you played through it is at the end of measure 10, you would take a breath. Right? This time you didn't have to. And that's what I'm trying to replicate is your phrasing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We could even start right from the top.
Okay.
Right? Point is, I will let you know exactly what I'm thinking here.
Okay.
When we breathe, it needs to be a musical opportunity.
Okay.
Versus a physical necessity.
Sure.
Right? So the note before the breath, we always need to pay attention to that we don't make it sound like a struggle.
Okay.
Right? I kind of heard a slightest kind of clip to that note in your effort to get fuel into your body. Right? You have to breathe, of course.
Yes.
Right? I always think of bow tie moments. Okay? Let's think of if I was wearing a bow tie. Right? Tapers out, and you have your little beautiful knot of the bow tie that comes back in.
Sure.
Right? That's where magical music making happens. Not just for saxophone, for piano, for vocalists, for string players, right? Listen to their phrasing, the merging of a phrase, right? Where we need to breathe, they're making a musical decision to make a bow tie moment, okay? We have other types of breaths that are punctuated, right? Da, bum, bum, right? We're leaving the note big, right? I don't think that's one of those moments, right? It doesn't even, it kind of lingers or kind of, well, gosh, it says it right there, calming. So the breath needs to match the musical material.
Sure.
Okay. Aiden, start from the top so we can replicate your phrasing. Good. Yeah, and again, that D flat's almost a creep in.
Okay.
That's okay. Your tone is great. It's very robust, right? Which matches this really well. Creston, right? We talk about him being self-taught, right? He changed his name from Giuseppe Udaveggio to Paul Preston to sound more American. I've been fortunate to see the manuscript of this that's in the Library of Congress, right? And we imply that self-taught means he's like stumbled on the notes or something. He was methodical, right? He listened to a lot of dance music, a lot of kind of dance band music. And when you look at his manuscript, it is meticulous, okay? But we also get this benefit of he's not putting it in Italian for us to translate.
Right.
With vigor, right? You're doing that great. Calming, right? I think you could do a little bit more of that,
Sure.
right? So, yeah, let's have you after that bow tie moment. So you are going to breathe after 10. What I see this as, we're looking at measure 11 for those who have the score, right?
Little QRs are the score, so use your phone and look at the score.
Beats 1 and 2 of 11 are the vigorous beat. Right? It's just basically what we have in 10,
Sure.
right? And truncation, right? So we have, starting right here, we have 2 vigorous beats, 2 calming beats, right? And then this transition, right? I'm not going to sing that well. So let's have you start. Aiden's going to start at measure 11. Yeah, let's just check those notes. Just a little more clarity on beat 2. Slow it down just a bit. 2, 3, 4. My one thing, so I actually do side B flat for both of those. That's beat 2 D flat. That sounds like a pop song. Sorry, there's a pop song that really sounds like that. Tell me what it is. I don't know what it is. So good. Aiden's going to start one more time. Keep going. Nice, good. So if I start at the same spot, right, I'm really going to base a lot of my interpretation off of what I see on the page, right? So I'm seeing this kind of glowing high F piano, right? Why I was going to maybe even have you, I'm just going to tap your pages here. Top of page 3 is the same theme down the octave. And it's a magical moment, right? The piano has this interlude that's crazy. It's gorgeous. You should see the goosebumps. I promise I have them. So this is the first statement of that theme, and it needs to be crystalline and beautiful, but not forced, right? I'd love it if you could get a better piano.
Okay.
Okay. Would you mind starting once more? And just again, just the note accuracy here. Da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 1. Let's have you try the same spot. Bow tie moment. Good, much better. And again, just those notes, and that could be just because of the side B flat. Okay. Right? I was talking earlier today about prerequisite pieces, or pieces that beef up and benefit future rep, right? This one definitely is similar in terms of side B flat versus B flat options. So I'm finding the da 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 da. Right? I'm doing, when I had that C B flat C, da 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 da, side up bis, da 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 da. Then I'm doing a lot of this here, right? But you might find the C B flat C. I know that that might feel really comfortable for us, but there's sometimes left hand overload that happens, right? Sometimes when we try to coordinate with the other hand, sometimes that messes it all up too, right? Sometimes, too much to work on. But sometimes it spreads the work, right? And so I'm hearing maybe just a little bit of instability because it's just left hand overload, right? Right, I'm just doing a combination. Right, just kind of, it might take a little bit to coordinate, right? That can be frustrating, but I do find that helps us spread the work better. Sure. Between both hands. Would you mind?
Dr. Mccord, could you maybe just re-emphasize that point, and if
Yeah.
you have any guidelines about biz versus side
Yes.
are not only applicable to this piece, but when you generally give that consideration of which finger do we use, how do we know when to change?
Yeah. Great question. We had talked about with Iber that when we leap, right, we tend to do A sharp, and our bis, right?
Right.
What we're talking about specifically here is a C, B flat, C, right? There can even be consideration of kind of the scale collection in which we're playing, which is kind of A flat major-ish, right? You guys have scale exams coming up, right? So what fingering do you do for A flat major?
Probably bis.
Bis, yeah. Right, I tend to be, whenever I have A flat, B flat, C, bis is my go-to. So for E flat, A flat, D flat majors, bis, okay? Side B flat, or sorry, B flat and F, your choice, right? But again, when it's a whole lot of that stuff, now granted, let's look at the first 5 notes. Right? I'm always choosing a fingering, and this is a great rule of thumb, whether it be bis or fork or altissimo, from the note I'm coming from and the note that I'm going to, right? So if I was just doing C to B flat, probably side B flat, just because, right, there's less risk of a blip.
Right.
But B flat to G, I'm going to take a nap doing side B flat to regular G. It's exhausting, right? So just any fingering that we have a discussion about is where we're coming from and where we're going to. So for me, C, B flat, C, I'm a side B flat all day long, right? But then again, what do we do coming after that? Da 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 ba da da. And there I'm just doing my ingrained pattern for my scale, right? For my A flat scale. Okay, so that might help you a bit with some of that stuff. I want to talk about the mordents, right? First time I ever heard that term, I was like, what? That can't be the term for what that is. It really is, right? That first one's easy enough, right? Because we're coming from an A flat. But you're doing a bang-up job in terms of the coming from the B flat, then the G and catching the pinky on that, right? Would you mind playing it for us? Let's do the first one. Getting into 20. Not bad, those are sounding really consistent, right? Thank you. I was in a Masterclass with Masato Kumoi, who's mainly known for his saxophone quartet. And he's like, you know what I actually do on this? Is I hit the B flat guard for both of those G to A flat, right? We all have the same mechanism that the B flat key operates the A flat key, right? Now, this takes practice. See what I'm doing? Now, yeah, really playing it. I've totally biffed this before, so maybe not the best advice. But I love teaching this because it helps to make these a little more user-friendly. Try it. Yep. Yeah, I know. You got to practice, right? Yeah. Next one. Yeah, work on it. See if you want to do that. Yours sound pretty good as is, but that's something that I've learned how to do that just kind of spreads things out. One final thing about the mordents. They emphasize the note anyway, right? This is like Baroque ornamentation, right? We don't want to punch the air any more than how the line would have us dictated, right? Right? Play it once without the ornamentation. Sets the line. Beautiful. Now, same air, same line. Just put in the ornamentation. Still work on it, right? Sometimes it does get a little punchy, right? And that's very common. We can always go back to fairly etudes, right? Find one slow fairly without ornaments. There aren't many, right? They all have ornaments, right? By definition, an etude is a study, right? So it could be the study of ornamentation for some of these, right? But we want to be careful that we don't punch the air any more than needed. We could spend the entire time just on Crescent. We could have spent even more time just on the Iber from earlier today. But you're off to a great start. Good for you.
Thank you so much.
Good job. Speaking of Iber, going right back to
Everybody knows you, but just reintroduce yourself, where you're from,
School in Versailles, Kentucky, and I'm a sophomore on this schedule.
Fantastic. You're going to play there.
Yeah.
Okay, first page or?
Yeah, let's just do first page.
Okay. Future you wants to get the altissimo. We don't have to spend all the time talking about it now. But there's a recording of Marcel Mule taking it down the octave, and it doesn't really compromise the piece. It's just, you know, we've all progressed on saxophone. At one point in time, only one man could play that, right? Hindemith has a duet for two saxophones, Concertstück, that was remained unplayed. I think it's written from 1928. It was unplayed until 1963, when his daughter, when Roscher's daughter, could play the second saxophone part, right? So just keep in mind how new this development is on saxophone, the altissimo range, right? Okay, really good stuff. Let's have you start it once more. A few things that I was going to bring up earlier today that, you know, are interesting on the piece. The forte and then piano, I don't know if we ever really think to do it that way. So if that's something you're trying to be literal about, da, da, and then softer, just play it soloistically. Right?
Okay.
When it comes back later, it's mezzo forte, if we just looked. If we look at 18.
Yeah.
Right? While we're at it, just looking at a few little specific things. There's two caesuras that are in this. Don't do those either, right?
Right.
Before 6, don't take that full break. And then before 18, don't take that full break either. Okay?
Okay.
We're just pertaining to the first page. Once more, right from the top. Awesome. Let's just start there. So this piece is written in a neoclassical style, right? And I talked about the relation between 90 years after the modern clarinet and the Mozart clarinet concerto, 90 years after the invention of the saxophone, this piece, right? My model for a classical concerto, a kind of the quintessential concerto, is the Mozart clarinet concerto, right? We can think about how even its form is, the clarity of its sound, and how that is gotten. And it's really, I feel, through articulation that we get that very Mozartian, this classical style.
Right.
Okay? And so, not just in terms of where the tongues the reed, right, or where within the music, right? I want you to notice just kind of the rhythm of the articulation. So I'm singing here. Right? So I'm seeing this as tia ta ha tia 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 so tia tia da.
Yeah.
Right? I see a half note articulation, I see quarter note articulations, I see eighth note articulations. And I think if you can bring that clarity out, the piece pops that much more.
Okay.
Right? So once again, like if I play this from the top. Right, there's a lot of personality I'm trying to bring out, even here. Kind of a dotted quarter note. Right? So see about that little detail, see if you can't bring that out. No faster than how you play it.
Okay.
and probably still almost passed out. So that was brilliant in terms of getting through the phrasing. You obviously have very efficient breathing, but you might find other places to breathe just for like sanctity of sanity, right?
Okay, yeah.
I do like to take a breath after 1, 2, third bar of 3. Right before that tied G sharp to A flat. Could be 1. The sequence that we have here, or just the pattern. Right, I do cut that after the dotted quarter and then take a breath so that I have enough fuel to then get up to this high F.
Right.
So I would maybe tweak a few of the places that you're breathing. Okay. Some really, really lovely things that you're doing. So what those might have seen after this high F, da ba da ba da ba da ba da. This is written in 3/8 feel. Ba da 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 ba da da dee da ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 ba da 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 da, right? The 5/8 feel, right?
Right.
When I was younger, I really played more with the metronome. It seems like you're thinking through it. Dee da da ba da 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 ba da da da, right? So it's accenting those low B's. Would you mind starting? Ba-do-da-dee-da, ba-do-da-dee-da, ba-do-da-da-da, ba-do-da-da-da, bum.
Yeah.
At the pianist note, see, start.
Okay.
Awesome. And then I love how this is written as kind of a slingshot in terms of getting into this really impactful low B. So notice the articulation at the F sharp octave. Tia-ha, tia, tia-ha, tia, tia-ta. Right? It's just a little unconventional from what we've seen before.
Right.
Like unstable, so that when we get the impact of that low B, then the piano answers ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da, ba-da-da-da. It's that much more exciting.
Right.
So let's get as much clarity of that articulation pattern for those 2 bars. Da-ha-ha-ha, tia, tia-ha-ha, tia, tia-ha-ha-ta. Right, make sure your tongue is touching that. Can we go once more? Ba-do-da-dee-da, ba-do-da-dee-da, ba-do-da-da-da, ba-do-da-da-da-da. In terms of breathing through this section, my mindset is once we're on these low B's, da-da-da, I don't want to lose that range by taking a breath or repositioning my embouchure down there, right? I think we've all been there. Do we love low notes on saxophone? If everybody says yes, you're lying. You're lying. Do we like low notes on clarinet? Yes, right? It's a cylinder, right? Ours is conical. Those notes way at the end of that cone are like, who knows where they're at? Versus the cylinder that is a clarinet, you just got to cover the holes. They come out, right?
Right.
So my point is, I think your last breath is here. Right? Is there, right? It can be tempo based. And this is tricky when sometimes we have mega phrases that are really only achievable to get through either circular breathing, which I don't think you should have to do that with this piece,
Right.
or playing it at tempo, right? I'm thinking Maslenka's music. Who's played any? Wind Band's doing something, right? What piece? 7. They just did that recently. Ooh, it's over the top, right? Like the man was. If there's many people that we could resurrect, he'd be on my short list. Like, can you just write more? Like a few more saxophone quartets, maybe another saxophone concerto. I love your music, right? We all love Maslenka's music, right? Gone too soon. But it's virtually superhuman to do what he's asking us to do, right? Unless you're like playing it at tempo and have, a spare long attached to you. Seriously.
Right.
So, this is more attainable, but there is that challenge of where to breathe, how to breathe, if we are somewhat under tempo, right?
Right.
One thing I was going to talk about in terms of building technique, what tempo do you have this at?
Any range from 85 to 95.
Great, right? We all have to start somewhere, right? We all have to, baby steps before we can run and, sprint.
Yeah.
what I would recommend that you do is zigzag your tempos. Okay, so let's say that you're at 85 right now, right? Practice going up, which by the way is not a real number, that's not a real tempo number. 84, 88, right? Old school dial metronomes, 84, 88, 92, 96, 100, 104, 108, 112, 116.
You might have to explain that.
Yeah, these odd numbers are like for those, older people, like that's not a real tempo. So I'll say 84. Okay, let's say that you're 84. Okay, what I would say is do 84 and then try 88. Okay, let's just think of this. 84, try 88. It's going to feel a little faster. Okay, then bring it back to 86 and bump it up to 90, and then back to 88. You're going to find that perspective of coming back to the tempo that first seemed fast from a slightly higher tempo, you're going to have this sense of elbow room. You're like, whoa, there's a lot more room within the beat experiencing 88 for the second time than for the first time, right? And that also is a contingency plan, right? In case you got a little bit of nerves in you. Dr. Cipolla and I just had some coffee before this, way past my time to have it, so I got energy, right? And if I was to perform this, I probably would be 132. I just probably would be. But I do practice and have that buffer in the case there is that spirit of, tempo and caffeine surging in my blood, right? So for all of us, it's that sense of, are we driving the car, or are we sitting passenger in the Uber, or are we holding on to the bumper of a car that's just running away on us, right? I think we probably experienced all three of those, right? I want to be driving the car, right? I want to be in charge. Have I been holding on to the bumper for dear life? Yes. And it's terrifying. It's exciting, but it's terrifying, right?
Right.
So just get to that point that you can kind of work that little buffer tempo zigzagging, and then bring it back to, even if we did it now, right? We could go up to 92 and, then bring it back to a certain tempo that felt at first maybe a little edgy. And I think you'll find that perspective will help.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Maybe go to the next person. Yeah.
Okay. Really great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for coming again. And saxophone players, if you don't like coming out here with the horns, I'll give you 10 seconds to get up here. We're going to take a quick photo. So I'm going to go play next, but we'll just get a photo first. 10 seconds is up, guys. Here are steps right here. Come on in the front, just like you do a studio recital. And Dr. Mccord, if you don't mind, come here.
No mouth.
Yes, yeah. Let's do it.
Just come right here on the steps. Roll that baby. Come on down.
We'll go right next to Ashley.
We want to get. Let's see. Let's see.
First week.
Okay, cool.
Hunter, do you mind just introducing yourself again to everybody, where you're from, high school, what year, degree?
My name is Hunter Baker. I went to Greenwood High School. I've lived in Bowling Green for 10 years, and I'm a sophomore music ed major.
You're playing the first movement,
Yes.
first page.
Sure.
Behind us.
Yep.
1937 sonata, right? Bernard Haydn taught for years up at IU, prior to my time being there, but apparently after he retired, which I think was maybe late 1990s, the saxophone studio would serenade him at his front lawn and play the saxophone music for him. So right up until the end, I believe he died in 2000. We've adored his music, and this is one of the first sonatas that was written for alto saxophone, or in any saxophone. Really, it's similar to Creston, that this is in sonata allegro form, that we have two themes, right? That are really different based on, I talk about Nazis, even though this is a little early for the Nazi era. But this opening, now Haydn left Germany before the Nazis took over, right? And he wrote this in Detroit for Larry Teal, with Haydn playing the piano part. And, but there's no doubt this opening is very military, right? So eyebrows, there's lots of pieces that I talk about like this, and I'll draw that in my part. Eyebrows down, frown face, right? That's how I play it. Right, just a little more aggressive, right? So if you had that drawn in your part, or I think if Nazis help, right? But there's this march kind of drive to it, right? Try that once, right? Too often I say, try that, and then I keep talking. I am going to keep talking. Look at the dynamic palette that the composer uses, right? I believe Haydn only ever does the traditional 6 dynamic levels, right? 2 Ps, 1 P, MP, MF, forte, fortissimo, right? If we notice, bi-da, ba, ba-da, bi-da is fortissimo. I don't think anywhere else do we have anything louder than 2 Fs. But if you're holding back in this opening because there's 2 Fs later, right? One thing I like to think of is within those 6 standard dynamic levels, think 3 tiers of dynamics within those, right? So we could have a forte plus, we could have a forte regular, and we could have a forte minus. And we could have a fortissimo plus, and a fortissimo regular, and a fortissimo minus. So instead of just 6 basic dynamic levels, we can now have 18, right? So let's call this a forte plus, right? Channel your, Nazi march, eyebrows down, aggressive. Go for it. Awesome. Good. Sorry. You play this with piano too. Have you yet played with the pianist?
Not yet.
Okay. So the breath is tempo, right? And that's the energy. So if I have a pianist here, right, that breath needs to be right time aggressive, right? That's okay, good. Your vibrato is very nice. It's lacking a little bit in the first, full bar. One thing that I definitely took away from Otis was that vibrato can be expressive, but it also can be amplificatory. It can make you louder, right? So if I'm exaggerating, you're not playing it that flat line, but now, from that, my sound's bigger with vibrato, yes? Yeah? Be careful of too much vibrato, because that can be a little bit, but see that vibrato on that G. Just a few things regarding the piano part, right? If we look at the last two bars of the first line, ba-da-ba-da, dee-da, dee-da, right? The piano answers us on beat 2 and beat 4, right? Who's in big band here or plays big band? Yeah. Have you seen like -2, -4s in terms of like holding notes full value? I like to think of that here, and if I had my part, I could show you. That's what I write. So my sound goes right into the chord that piano's. So sometimes on quarter notes, we might think, get 3/4 of the way through it, we're fine. Be really intentional. Da, dee da, dee da, right? Because that is going to get matched with full sound from piano on those rests. Okay, that's one thing. You're doing great with the rhythm. Da 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 da. I just think today, 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 right? No one wants to have any semblance of triplet rhythm, right? And that's super important if you get into the second page of this, right? Today. Easiest way to think of dotted 8/16. Great piece out there that doesn't get enough play. The Claude Pascal Sonatine. You guys know this piece? Dotted rhythms all over the place. It was a concours piece for the Paris Conservatory. Really cool. So if you guys like, check it out. Really neat piece. Yeah, there's some really nice things. What maybe I would say, do you know in terms of score study, like what happens there with the piano?
I don't think I understand what you mean.
What is happening in the 2/4-3/8 bars musically with the ensemble? Do you know where the piano plays with you? It could be an odd spot for all. Okay. So finding a pianist that will play saxophone music, right? You guys might be blessed to have somebody that does it. At Louisville, we also have somebody, but we don't have the luxury of hours upon hours to work with them. So we have to do score study. And you guys have juries coming up. This just historically is a really odd thing to put together. The pianist hits the upbeat with you, ba-da-da, and hits the second eighth of the 3/8 bar, right? It could just be kind of what exactly is happening. And it repeats, da-da-da, dee-da, hits these upbeats with you, and then also hits the upbeat. So there's no downbeat that the piano has for any of this mixed meter, right? And there can be kind of a second guess of our own kind of rhythm, integrity, and what have you. Just plow. Make sure that, what you could do. Right, if you just have those subdivisions going, they hit where they hit, and often 1 + 1 should be 2, right? I've just found with some students, you don't sound like you're going to have that problem. That it can be a question mark as to how you fit with the piano part there. Okay, so just prep that might be a little tricky. Okay, good. Can I have you go from the climax, please? This is da 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 dee da. Good. Nice. I was going to also talk about this with the E-Bear. Ties, right? And it could be that, I've seen this piece for a very long time and, had taught it. I really am starting to feel the ties and dots, right? Because dots are just abbreviations of ties, right? Are opportunities for expression and opportunities to make a choice, right? Do we find that we want to emphasize the tie? Do we want to de-emphasize the tie, right? Which has side off of each tie. So try that. I think we probably all feel from the high F, we're pushing the note over the tie, right? I want you to maybe just think, I'm not saying play it exactly how I'm doing it, but just, we have a visual choice to make, right? Do you want to emphasize the tie note? Do you want to not emphasize the tie? Does that make sense?
I think so.
Right? Dynamically vibrato. Less so. Right? other kind of repertoire-based learning that we can do. Have you played Mozart already?
Yes.
Yeah, think of all those ties. You could reinvent how you interpret that just by making a decision on every one of those ties. We might all have instinct, right? As I just played it, I lingered off of the first two ties and I pushed through the third. Let me try the opposite. There could be something there, right? That was different than the first one. Yeah.
Before we go on to the next person, could you maybe, Dr. Mccord, talk a little bit about beautiful job and beautiful
Yeah.
sound?
Yeah.
I mean, really amazing.
Seriously.
So this is not a comparison to, but just about your sound. Your sound is super even and controlled in any register. If I closed my eyes and didn't know the saxophone, I wouldn't be able to tell you what note you're playing.
Yeah.
That's obviously not by accident.
I was born with it. No, really have to work on sound model, right? I think it was more the lesson afterwards. Was that with Asher? Did we talk about tubing? Yeah. Right. So we all feel this, right? We have long tube versus short tube saxophone, right? We have a long D that has back pressure to it, right? For any music ed majors who like done Woodwind methods and played oboe, back pressure, right? Right? Versus C sharp that's right next to it has little to none, right? That's always a spot that I'm listening for in my own playing and my students playing about how can we have a more homogeneous timbre, even though the saxophone wants to sound different on a long tube versus a short tube, okay? My students are primed and prepped enough to know that the answer is usually going to be air. When did that say air? You could say air, I'd be like, you are correct. But it's again related to that stuff that we were talking about earlier today, right? How am I curating my air? How am I focusing my air into the horn? And it is all that mouthpiece pitch stuff that we talked about, having total control before it even hits the horn, right? Really think of that, total control before it even vibrates the reed, right? In terms of what we're doing inside. And it is really specific hoop jumping on it, doing the mouthpiece pitch and the decrescendo, right? That's number one thing to work on. I do remind myself of my embouchure, right? Certainly there's times that, you get fatigued or maybe the piece can stress you out, like low notes, and I remind myself my bottom lip is a cushion, right? To let the reed vibrate. Top teeth are anchors, right? And the corners provide support, right? If I had a plastic water bottle, and I turn it on the side, right? When you say the top teeth are here, bottom lip is here, and corners on the side. If I I'm so caffeinated, by the way. If I squeeze the corners of the water bottle in, right? What does that do to my bottom lip? Right? Adds a little bit more cushion to it, right? So if there's one spot that I feel, now, how much cushion? That's a great question. There's padding to it, I mean, there's muscle to it, right? But it's the corners that I really focus on to get my best sound, right? So that I have the right amount of cushion to let the reed vibrate. But then, because I'm putting so much air pressure into the horn, right? I think of like a rubber band, maybe 2 or 3 times wrapped around the mouthpiece, right? Right? And I talked about earlier, there's nothing magical about this setup or what have you. I mean, this is gold plated, so that does help a little bit with the tone. But this reed could easily do this. Right? It's just that I kind of ceded responsibility elsewhere. It's like, okay, I'm tired of working hard through my decrescendo. I'm going to now relax. And that's what it sounds like, right? But we can all be smart people and kind of go, oh, I know when that fuzz is going to come in, and just make a shorter decrescendo. Decrescendo for days. Let's try it. Pick your favorite note. And sorry to put you on the spot.
Let's just go concert F, middle D.
Okay, cool. Start as loud as you want, and decrescendo as long as you can. So there's probably a story out there. That's my. Who did? You had to engage through that note all the way, right? So I ask this question often: is how did you do that? How did you decrescendo?
I thought about engaging my corners, and I thought less about because I think usually I'm focusing on my air, and the problem is I'm decreasing my air speed rather than the amount of air.
Yeah.
It sort of helps create that fuzziness.
Yeah.
Towards the end is the lack of air support, but I focused more on supporting myself through the decrescendo.
Yeah, there can be great, and that's a fantastic answer. I joke with my students, I don't have writing intensive courses, but I'm really on this trend now. If this was a writing intensive course and you had to answer a short answer about what you just did to make that better, very similar to the reflection statements that I hear that you guys are making, right? Let's scratch our heads and go like, whoa, why was that different? Why was that better? What did it feel like, right? This is very akin to like the fairings of the octave. Right? And like, cool, it's great to play high stuff, yes. But playing it within the octave and go, wow, what did I learn? Knowing that I had to jump through these altissimo hoops and voicing hoops to get the high notes out, why am I playing any differently in standard range playing? Right? My only final thing that I'll say, just with corners, and this is why I have a beard, right? So that I can see it when I'm playing. I'm kidding. My oldest is 14. I had a beard then. I haven't shaved it since. I'm scared of that. Like the kid is not going to recognize the painting thing. I think they'll be okay right now. But as I'm getting softer and softer, I pucker ever so slightly and envelop the mouthpiece. Right. And you could probably have best view here, but I'm going to go a little cross-eyed. I'm going to see my beard kind of go out of it. And it's not a lot. It's not. But I just had the sense of corners provide support for the right hand cushion. Okay? Back in the day, and maybe not so much saxophone, maybe more clarinet land, like the smiling embouchure versus not, right? Clarinet bottom lip is more thought of kind of like a table versus a cushion. It's firmer, right? And so the question is how to create that. Smiling certainly does, right? But it takes the corners out of the equation. I mean, they're very firm here. But my tone, in part, comes from my corners supporting forward versus pull back. Yeah. You sound great on this piece, by the way. You sound great. Yeah. Pretty good. And we had a brief little half-hour lesson earlier today. I'm expecting the moon from you, man.
That's right. Asher,
Not too high.
there you
We're
go.
both tall folk, but
You have this piece memorized because that was your assignment last week. So pull that
All of
stand.
it.
and you got the big guys head too.
Asher, just for the sake of everybody, introduce yourself, school, where you're from, degree, year.
My name is Asher. I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. I went to Davis County High School. I'm a freshman music ed major.
And you're going to play.
Concertina de Camp.
First page.
Sure.
That's okay. Try it once more. Would you mind going from the last breath? So we had talked earlier about where I feel the last breath is versus what might be marked. So,
Right there.
last breath is
Okay.
the last written in 16th frets, right? had some good questions earlier for you. We talked about the backwards practicing, right? So this could be the thing where, which is a great tip, that we're always then going into the land of the known versus the unknown, right? So, right, just kind of working backwards. And I'm going very quickly, right? I'm a big fan of the 5 time in a row before moving on. Let's just briefly try. So A, 2. Yeah, just careful, right? We're both doing the same fingering. It can be real sharp. No, it's not sharp there. That fingering can be 20 cents sharp if we let it. Yeah, okay, we'll get back to the backwards practicing. I want you to visualize a 2-story house with an attic, okay? And I want to make sure that you're not blowing and so firm that you're playing into the attic of this house, meaning the highest that you could possibly be. I want you to consciously play at the 2nd floor, right? This is me playing up to that. Right? Versus. I'm still even sharp. Maybe the piano's flat. Good. Consciously play with high. Remember that feeling. Okay, now let's do the backwards practicing. Let's do G sharp A. Okay, here's our challenge, is articulating in altissimo. And we had done this earlier, right? The easiest or best way to do it is very pragmatic, right? Take the tongue out. Work just on air. Okay, and we're just working with one now, right? No, that was no tongue, correct? Now, E, T, E, T. Okay, what we're listening for is the front of sound, right? Is there a kind of undertone that comes in every once in a while, right? When the tongue touches the reed, is there any sound that's there, right? So I'll do E, T. I want them to sound indistinguishable, right? That one was a little tricky, right? That second articulation had a little bit of that undertone, right? Got to make sure, right? I was saying to you that we could, down the octave, your tongue could flop all over in your mouth. The notes would come out, right? Up here, it's contingent that you maintain that arch, right? So I'm not saying ta, ta, ta. You can all say ta, ta. Huge motion, right? Ta, versus t, t, t. Keeping the height of your tongue. T, 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 t. Not ta, 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 right? Every once in a while, just be careful that we're not reverting back to that. Okay, now let's do T, he, T, he. T, he, T, he. Oh. Better. Now, final step, T, 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 T. Yeah, it's hard to pitch. Yeah, listen, there is a better A fingering that I just want to share with the world. It's hard to get to with this lick, but our studio calls it Magic A because it's magically more in tune. 1, 2, 3, T, C, T, F. It's weird. The right hand's weird. Not C5. T, F. T, C, T, F. Great fingering. 1, 2, 3, T, C, T, F. Not C5. T, F. Yeah, so the trill F, the 4th sharp key.
Or this one?
Yep, and that guy. Yep, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, the problem is it's not the right hand. It's not great to get to, right? I'm not suggesting that you do that there. Concentrate. That disparity of pitch, right? Similar to what we were talking about with Preston, side B flat versus this, right? We choose fingerings based off of where we're coming from and where we're going to, okay? I would say from a G sharp, because you're doing that G sharp, right?
Yeah.
To that A. Don't do it. All right, that's too much to negotiate, right? So you're just gonna have to deal with the bum kind of pitch of that fingering. It's a huge dartboard. It's not hard to hit that note, right? But we gotta not be like stratosphere here too. Okay.
One more minute and we'll go to Katie.
Okay. What I want to have you do very slowly, okay? Because you played this earlier today. You articulated this just fine.
Yeah.
It's that question, right? We talked about fairings up the octave, right? All that. It's the question mark of how much we work when we don't have altissimo, right? So yes, you know that it's coming. Right? We know that E is kind of that launching point into it, right? My question to you is, where's your tongue before the altissimo fingerings? Is it like out of the picture, and then it's like, oh crap, I gotta like be involved to produce these notes?
I think I have it too low. I think I'm working it into the position as I get to the E, but maybe not.
Yeah, so here's the thing, is my general, now, this is all very nuanced, and we talked about whistling half steps, right? For those that can whistle, do we feel how subtle that feeling is to create that half step? I drive a lot, and I think this is like I'm just veering maybe to like the white line on the right of the road. I'm just going to correct, like that, right? Versus, especially in Louisville, guys, how people drive as they go. So that is, hold out the D sharp and do the trick, pitch bend. Okay, now. Yeah. You gotta have that engagement before you hit those notes, and here's the hint: you gotta engage always, even on those little B's, right? Final thing with that, right? They do make straight altos. Kyle has them, right? They're kind of a novelty looking thing. But when you're playing that low note, you have to have pressure down the tube. Old school way of teaching playing low notes is like drop your jaw, use warm air. You're ceding control elsewhere when that's the case. So if you need, or if there's any range that you need air pressure, a specific pressure, is to play low notes. You need to vibrate all the way down the tube. It's just there's other ways that we can do it. We can subtone, right? Which is a valid technique in certain cases, not this piece, right? So it's having that engagement always. And you can do it. The fact that you did the pitch bending, that you could play altissimo, I mean, ball's in your court, right? But great, really good job. Oh, thank you. I don't know this piece, Kaylee. You're introduced.
Yeah, Dr. Cummings found it on accident over winter break. So,
I'd love to know the story behind the accidental finding.
I don't know, I think he was just looking at a list and, yeah, I was going to do the cadenza part.
Okay. Do we all have music? We can see it?
Thank you.
No, this is good. This starts top of page 2.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Neat. Okay. Introduce yourself.
I'm Kaylee Tucker. I went to Central Hardin High School, lived in Leslie now. I'm a junior music education major.
Okay. Awesome. I was playing Daisy Club on this recital, and Matt has a varied background. He got his doctorate with Dale Underwood at the University of Miami. He also studied with Marie Bernadette Charrier in Bordeaux. And so I was missing that low B. I was stressed. And he said, Adam, look right here. Snake one, right? There's something, I'm not kidding, all of us should try this. And if there's a horn out right now, try it. Low B, granted, being an ed major in terms of classroom management, I might have just given away all my control. Like, try this. Everybody's going to go crazy on the horn. But what I want you to do, I've learned it's not just the B, right? Right? You've been there. There's a conditioned response that goes on with that note.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
this piano is right? So, a few things. Remind yourself of your embouchure, right? Prokofiev, Romeo and Juliet. Is that happening soon? Did that happen? Soon. Who's playing the tenor part? Is not here? Right? One of the most terrifying entrances, and I could give him a few tips. I've played that with orchestra a few times. There's a chord that's not written for the saxophone to play, that C sharp you can test your reed. And no one knows. I've done this with the National Symphony at the Kennedy Center before. It's like totally like, test the reed, okay. But I remind myself of my embouchure, right? I remind myself that my bottom lip is that cushion for the reed to vibrate. And we can get very back to that conditioned response. Not gonna come out. And then we just screw it from the beginning, right? So, right, just remember to keep the cushion. I do want you to go ahead and look, no joke, right around here. And then that key pop concept, right? Do we all know key pop, right? Where you can, right? I'm just adding, I really don't want it to be terribly percussive. It's not a key slap, right? But whatever, okay? So we're doing all the things that we can, but just a few low Ds, and I do want you to focus right there. It works, I promise. I promise it works. Okay, are you tonguing the note?
Oh, yeah. At first, no, and then I started to.
Well, that helps, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big believer if your air can do it, your tongue can do it, but it doesn't work the other way around. Right? The tongue, sometimes like we get frustrated, kick the note out, and it's not the best sound. Sometimes we get a real flat, right? I'm not tonguing the note. Okay? You can work it in later, but just try air first. And again, don't forget to look at that spot. Okay, yeah, that could help. It's just we want to caution against overly. Now, granted, you're coming into this note from context, so,
Yeah.
so we don't normally just play it by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I am seeing that. Would you mind playing it one more time? Would you mind even, how about starting from the Calamando,
Yeah.
the F natural?
Yeah.
Okay, so the prior page, we'll see if there's music that goes into this low D. Awesome. Good. Sounds great. Sounds really nice. Everybody sounds really good in the studio. I want to work on vibrato. Okay. And back to this writing intensive class that this is not. But as education majors, mainly, I want you to teach me vibrato.
Right. So.
This can help all of us, right? Like if you
Yeah.
had to articulate what you do, right? Sometimes we might just say what textbook is, and then we scratch our head and we go, that's not actually what I do. So I'm just curious if you had to just teach me the ABCs of vibrato.
I know, like, there's a baseline of where you start playing, and then the vibrato is how you're bending the pitch, like, between that stable line. There's like a wave between that
Fantastic. How are you bending that pitch?
with your jaw, or with your lip jaw. I guess your jaw moves.
Okay, no, just good to know. I've had some students that come in with either a throat vibrato or a diaphragm vibrato, right? I'm a big believer in jaw vibrato, right? Do you have tempos that you work at for vibrato?
No,
Like a
since
gold
high
tempo?
school. I guess I
Can you
just haven't-
recall high school goal tempo?
No.
Okay, 4 at 80 is kind of the general consensus. Back to Fairlings, good old Fairlings. Marcel Mule edited the Fairlings when he first got the job at the Paris Conservatory in 1942, right? And adapted them to saxophone. One of my TA responsibilities when I was at IU was to look at the original Fairlings and the Marcel Mule and note all the differences. Okay, the number one thing that he did was all the slow A2s he moved to 72, right? Because he felt 4 at 72 was gold vibrato tempo, right? This was a pedagogic tool for him to teach vibrato to his students, right? I think we find if we put 72 on, it's a little old school. Meaning like it can get a little just, right? So I think 80 to 84 is what we want to aim for. I don't have, somebody have a, yeah.
80.
Let's even try 72 just for now, which is probably here. Right? Certain tempos we could just blah, 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 blah. So we could try the Marcel Mule tempo, right? How I like to teach it is 2 counts straight tone, 2 counts vibrato. We probably don't have to do my first step, which would just be 2 vibrations per beat, right? Let's do the third step, which is 4. Right? But what I want to have you do, Kaylee, is to make sure that by beat 3, you're not changing your air. Right? It's a whole note's worth of air, but you just start moving your jaw by beat 3. Okay? That's not the easiest note to do it on, but let's do it. Low D. 2, 3, 4. Good. For all of us, even just saying it at that tempo, right, convinces us physiologically our jaw has the speed. We can do that. But forming embouchure and making that happen, that's a little tricky. Do you find that you drop first with your jaw, or do you go up first with your jaw?
You can drop.
I think so too.
Because I have a problem when I do the high notes, I go too low instead of
And
going up.
it sounds flat,
Yeah.
right? And maybe that high D that's fortissimo, if you really want to lay a lot of vibrato on it,
Yeah.
you might be a little risk averse and be like, but it might be too flat sounding. Okay? It's a lot easier to drop pitch than raise pitch, right? But I want to think, especially the higher that I go, within reason, I want to think of really into the reed more than off the reed. Okay? And you can train yourself low down here. So va 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 is a really great starting kind of vowel sound or consonant sound. Eventually work towards thinking foo 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 foo. Okay? We can all say va 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 foo 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 foo. Yeah. Thank you. Hand on Jordan. Va 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 foo 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 foo. Which one moves less? Foo, right? So if we want to get that controlled sound, because the first thing you said was textbook. I have my tone, and I want vibrato to stay around my tone, right? The less jaw motion, the more it's going to stay around your tone. Okay? Let's do it. High D, exposed high D. Right? I'm really going for it, right? I'm trying to think more foo 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 foo, coming less off the reed. Could you try playing that high D?
Yeah.
Same vibrato exercise, 2 counts straight tone, 2 counts vibrato. Ready, and. Yeah, and if anything, you want to think of crescendoing through the vibrato, right? We were talking about air a lot, right? When in doubt, the answer is air. But in terms of articulation, in terms of vibrato, if you have good air pressure, it's like, I don't know if you guys have a chance to go to the beach often, but it's like you're wakeboarding, right? You're riding that wave right in the shore, right? You have the energy of the ocean right behind you, but you're right in front of it, right? So I think of that when I'm using vibrato and articulating, is to really push through it. Right, you're here, I'm almost crescendoing through it,
Yeah.
okay? Could you try it one more time on that high D?
Yeah.
Yeah, now, there's also conversation about, like, opera, right? very dramatic, right? And you'll hear sopranos, right, when they get really high, the vocalist, it's not soprano sax. It can happen on soprano sax, but the vibrato becomes a little broader, right? Sometimes you might be able to work something like that in, but it can't be such a distortion of tone that it has us question what pitch you're playing,
Yeah.
right? So can you have, let's go. Right, here I'm being a little more operatic, right?
Yeah.
But not so that it's like, what note am I playing, right? So my overall thought is, I think you could go for broke on that.
Okay.
But I think sometimes we have like that inner kind of like, right? It might expose some things that we don't want to expose when we want to play it safe, right? All that being said, can we go back past the last little bit of the calmando? And Kaylee, I want to hear you just go for it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah, and then here's one other tip, and I'm not saying it with this piece, but maybe later. Low note decrescendos. And if this cadenza maybe started on that low D. Double lift embouchure. No joke. This is something I learned way too late in life. It's hard to start phrases with it, but if you were going to take a breath after that, right, what are we doing? Right? That could be like an amazing like pin drop moment, right? So low note tapers, you can take your top teeth off, and it helps it stay in that lower octave. Could you try? That would actually, I think, be really musically great to do right there, right? Right?
Yeah.
That's a fermata, right? I'm just taking my top teeth off and feel like I'm damping it into my bottom lip.
Okay.
I learned this at like 26 after struggling with low notes forever, right?
I'm so happy that someone said this. I mean, really.
Yeah.
This is something that I had heard about a long, long time ago, but I never put it into words. I mean, I just say practice double lip, but this is great.
But low note
Great
tapers
ability.
for days. I mean, you can do them 4 days, right? Try it. Okay. Now, don't feel as you play. I'm going to help you feel taking your top teeth. You should feel like you're just puckering and damping the reed into your bottom lip. Okay, but I'm going to help push into your bottom lip. Keep going.
I lost my air.
Ah, okay. Fuel up. How often does that pop the octave for us? All the time, right? That's such a great trick. Take that to the bank, right? It's good stuff. Kaylee, some awesome stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee, that was fantastic. Just one more moment, maybe or two with Patrick.
Sure.
Because I know you know Patrick's playing quite a bit.
I do.
He wanted to play a couple things for you as we wrap up.
He's got a recital on Saturday in this very room.
No, church.
Oh, church. I saw that. Right. Okay. Ooh, second movement. Thank you. Yeah. So second movement of Iber, right? Which technically it's only a 2-movement piece, but with 2 parts to the second movement, right? Larghetto and then the animato molto. You're gonna play the slow part?
Yes.
Nice. I think we need more of the P's.
Okay.
1 P, 2 P. Right? That everybody's gonna sit down and be quiet and listen to what you have to say. Right? So it's that control of your softest dynamics. Okay? And again, the mouthpiece pitch at like the super softest is the way to do it. A few questions for you. Was your phrasing and breathing how you wanted to do it?
Now there was a couple of times where I just
Lost
either ran out of breath or when I tried to take a breath, I like choked.
Oh,
For a
well,
second, so-
stop doing that. This is where I've learned arguing, right? My wife, if she was here, she would joke, or she would chuckle. Arguing is not always the greatest thing, character trait, but I'm really pretty good at it. But in relationships, guys, temper that. Okay, I've been married 20 years. Just learn. But my point is, if you felt like the phrase, it was too long or I couldn't make it, the way that I argue is I go, cool, okay, let's follow your phrase markings, your breath marks, and let's just start fresh. You can pick any one of the phrases that you feel like we didn't get to.
Probably this one.
Pick up to 25.
Yeah.
Now, where are you breathing within that?
That time I did there. Most of the time I'm able to get through the whole thing, but.
Okay. But we had even a funny one before that.
Yeah.
Was it here?
I think so.
Okay. So Patrick's going to start fourth system, pick up to the second bar. Okay. My point is saying in terms of arguing here is that I bet starting fresh, not coming from a prior phrase, your breathing's probably going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But there's something, Patrick, about in the heat of playing, the way you breathe is not the same as starting fresh. Right? For all of us, right? Sometimes in the middle of playing, we're shallow breathers, right? Versus gut breathers. Every single breath needs to be feeling from the bottom to the top, okay? But you'll get this benefit if the phrase is not going to be so hard because you're starting fresh. So that's something you can always check in with yourself. Go, gosh, that was a long phrase to get to. Or like Boza aria. Pull out Boza, right? Not as a shame. Boza's hard. Y'all, Boza's hard, right? It'll make anybody weak at the knees in terms of their phrasing, right? And it's that same kind of sense of, oh, that phrase is hard to get to. The phrase itself is not hard. It's tacking on phrase after phrase after phrase and having efficient air as you go. Okay, so that would be that too. So more P's. 1 P, 2 P, 3 P. I had a fun project when I was in grad school. I volunteered at the classical radio station in Bloomington. And on faculty at IU, and you hear everything. It's piano, violin, cello. But he was known as the master of pianissimo and pianissimo. Like he had the most delicate touch on piano ever, right? So you need to have more of that just kind of very soft love, right? Talk to me about the tuning tendencies of a Supreme. I don't know what they are.
Pretty in tune overall.
Can you play low F sharp tuning note? So we're flat.
Yeah. It won't change it as much.
Okay.
But
And reed strength is part of it too. Softer reeds have us play it flat. Harder reeds have us play sharp. Right? I'm just seeing on some of the, and this is maybe just how I think of it, those resonance fingerings, right? Right, that's again that long tube, short tube, right? I want that C sharp to sound as full tube as possible, right? So for me, on a Yamaha EX2, third finger octave key, but I'm coming from the F, I want that full sound. And the pitch, right? So that it's not too flat. Right? Okay. Let's have you go. Okay, and you're exploring your shades of piano. Good. You might have heard what I done here.
the side.
Right? Back in the day, say, I'd be like, oh, regular D goes to E because that just is logic, right? That's a character. Full D sound, right, is its own kind of adjective. It's, full, it's more present. C2, not only, we talked about the first movement, right, you can use it technically, right, but in terms of tonally, it's passive, right? C2 can be a very passive choice. Right? I think it works great here. It's, it can be temperamental, right? But it gives you more control of the sound. Second thing, Patrick. Notice that then getting to the second line, da dee da da dee da dee, starts with a pickup. Okay, it's like we're gonna roll a ball down these stairs, da dee, or a slinky, da dee dee da dee da dee da. Right? So bring out that energy if the upbeat goes to the next note.
Okay.
Third part. G sharp in terms of playing it in tune is rough. There's not really a fake fingering. Well, there's a fake. What I do. No joke. I put my index finger in my F key, and I close it a little bit with my middle finger. Yeah. Yeah, play it. Voice it all down, or just be like, play down the middle of the horn and just correct it. Yeah? Okay, I wish we had more time. We'll have more time next year. Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Are there any questions that anybody has for Dr. Mccord? Now is the best time. I can't emphasize enough what I said earlier on that he is a really incredibly unique and special artist and person because he's a really insightful and detailed teacher that sees 2 or 3 layers deep into what each individual is doing. And he knows the repertoire layers deep historically, technically, sonically. It's a really unique experience for you to have a chance to spend some time with Dr. Mccord. I would say someone like him, but I don't know anyone like him. And he's really, we're so lucky in Kentucky to have him here. Are there any questions? Clarinet people, thank you for coming. Remember too, and Paul Cohn and things he was talking about that. Danny didn't agree with the low E, right? Go ahead.
It's like 30 cents flat every horn.
Oh, in terms of getting out?
The note pitch.
Oh, the pitch. Oh, but I mean, you close the holes, it comes out.
Yeah, it'll come out fine. It's just super out of tune.
Yeah, well, we're super sharp down there, so, but I'd rather play low E on a clarinet all day long compared to like low B is worse than low B flat. Low B is kind of the fastest stepchild of the yeah, no guys, I'm really impressed with the studio here, right? And just to, I've known John Sacola for 26.
Yeah, since 2000.
26 years. Before lots of you were twinkles in his parents' eyes. And upstanding through and through for 26 years. You guys are lucky to have me. So.
Well, thank you. We're lucky. You guys all get a very solid education in Kentucky. You have lots of degree programs here. And thank you all for participating. And like I said, I appreciate the clarinet people here. Those of you all that are going to be teachers, this is critical stuff. He's talking about stuff that is artist level, but that can be applied corners and all this stuff to anything, double rate. It's really great. If you find Dr. Mccord's email on the U of L website, yeah, go ahead and send him a thank you note. Okay? Please. That's appreciated, and it's also just gives you a little insight. There are a couple of you that took notes today in this morning's class. Send him those notes. Tell him what stuck. Okay? Pump his brain a little bit for information later. May not respond right away, but at least he knows what's working in class. Because he gave an immense amount of information this morning and now. So stay in touch with him, please, okay?
It's adam.mccord@louisville.edu. Pretty easy to remember.